All right, everyone. So here's our wrestling news of the day for August 12th, 2024. So there's a big mixed tag match rumored for Bash in Berlin, a CM Punk update. There's what is WWE's internal reaction to Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio being paired up. Jacob Fatu injury update. Jey Uso talks about the bloodline in Roman Reigns' return, and Solo Sikoa sends a pretty cryptic message to Roman Reigns. So thank you all for watching. Here are all of those videos. All right, everyone. So we've been talking a lot about Jacob Fatu and his injury because Jacob Fatu is a key part of the new bloodline. He is someone who they need because the bloodline has to be built enough so that they're a believable threat to Roman Reigns, right? They built them enough to where they were a believable threat to Cody Rhodes. Now we need them to be a believable threat to Roman Reigns now that he's back. So an article from TJRWrestling.net explains if he's really injured. So while WWE is saying on television that Jacob Fatu has an injury, it might just be a storyline excuse to keep him from interacting with Roman Reigns. The Wrestling Observer newsletter's Dave Meltzer wrote about the situation in his newsletter this week. Fatu put Rhodes on the announcer's table and came off the top rope and splashed Rhodes to the table. Fatu was selling the idea that he injured himself. The injury spot itself was planned as a way to keep Fatu out of the ring and not interact at all when Reigns came out. WWE to the public said he was hurt, and there was a photo of him in a walking boot. We never got clarification if he was actually hurt past storyline, as it was a question avoided by a few. We'll see. And being told past he was banged up but was good. But obviously he had to sell it big when it happened. Off camera, he was helped to the back and was limping, but that was also something you would do in that situation. So according to Dave Meltzer, there might be a chance that this was just all kind of storyline, right? And that he's not actually hurt. And I think if that is the case, that's going to be a great decision by WWE to do this because I think what they're saying is perfect, right? What they're saying here, and Dave Meltzer is saying that if he was healthy, right, he could have gone into the ring and helped out and kind of beat up Roman Reigns if he was healthy. But due to the fact now that he hasn't been on TV and he's technically injured, Roman Reigns is kind of running a roughshod over this new bloodline, right? They're injured. He's going out there and he's beating them up a little bit. Well, the beauty of this is that now you could have Jacob Fatu return and you could have him, put a little bit of fear into Roman Reigns. You can have him beat him up a little bit. You can have Paul Heyman sell whenever Paul Heyman makes his official return back on Roman Reigns' side. You can have him really sell how scary Jacob Fatu is, and now you've built a equal new bloodline, and you've built, the Roman Reigns old slash new bloodline, right? I think this is really good stuff by WWE. We don't know if it's actually true or not, or if he actually got hurt. I will say, if you watch the video of when he does get hurt, it's really it would have been a very weird injury. It seems like one that would be a sell, right? One that he is trying to sell. And he did a great job wearing that walking boot after, because that further sold it. But we'll see. There is a chance that he's actually hurt. If not, I think this is beautiful storytelling from WWE. So obviously, Roman Reigns, the original tribal chief, is back, and it's been great. He's beaten the crap out of this new bloodline twice now, and he's just showing how dominant he is. He's also, said some stuff to Cody Rhodes, basically pointing and hinting that we're going to see them again down the line fighting. Now, one thing that I think has gone a little bit under the radar, at least to some, is Solo Sikoa's Instagram post after SmackDown, where he says, "You lied to me," with two periods, and it's a picture of him and Roman Reigns hugging. That's the picture you see on the screen. "You lied to me" is on the bottom of it. Now, why is this a big deal? Well, this is kind of weird, right? So the story that we've been told up to this point is a very simple one. Roman Reigns loses at WrestleMania. He's beaten. Solo Sikoa then, after that, decides, I'm going to be the tribal chief. I'm going to take over the bloodline, because Roman Reigns couldn't do it, right? Roman Reigns simply could not get the job done. He lost the title. So now there's a new bloodline, and, Solo added some new guys to it. So with that, now we're getting this, right? We're getting a "you lied to me." And I don't have a clue what this means. Could it be something about, we've seen shocked video of Solo, right? Of seeing his return. He's been shocked. So maybe it's going to be something like, you said you wouldn't come back, or you said you were done, or you said you were, it's over. But the one part that doesn't really sit at this point, and they're going to tell the story, so they'll be able to make this work. But the one part, if that's the case, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense is it was pretty clear that Solo was taking shots at Roman, that Solo thought he would return, that Solo, he was taking shots at Paul Heyman, right? I mean, he beat him up. They put him through a table. So that story wouldn't line up. It wasn't like Solo didn't mention Roman Reigns' name, had nothing to do with Paul Heyman, and just took over the bloodline, and then Roman Reigns comes back. That would make sense. You're like, oh, everybody thought he was gone, now he's back, and now there's a fight for it. But considering he mentioned his name a couple of times, even said he wanted to fight him, if he did return, basically, even not basically, they put Paul Heyman through a table. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So we have to see where this story goes. But this is an interesting twist, and I hope WWE can knock it out of the park. All right, everyone. So WWE has advertised CM Punk for a few future events. This is what we are looking at. So we're reading from WrestlingNews.com. On this week's Raw, Punk continued his feud with McIntyre by doing a promo segment that was interrupted by Rollins. It ended when McIntyre held up Punk's bracelet and said his stupid dog Larry and his lovely wife AJ were in his corner in this fight, leading to Punk going after him. McIntyre backed out before Punk got to him. WWE's website is advertising Punk for Raw events for the rest of the month, including August 12th in Austin, Texas, August 19th in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and August 26th in Providence, Rhode Island. The Raw listings have not been updated for September. He is currently not advertised for Bash in Berlin later this month or the October 5th Bad Blood PLE. So I would be shocked if CM Punk isn't, he's clearly lined up for all of these coming Raws. I would be shocked if he wasn't at Bash in Berlin. I don't know, this Drew McIntyre CM Punk feud, they've been building it for so long, and the injury made them have to build it even longer, right? This injury forced them to continue to build it longer than maybe they would have wanted to. And so now it wouldn't make much sense, I think, to continue to push that back. So you can expect CM Punk to be at Bash in Berlin, and you could probably expect CM Punk to be at Bad Blood as well, because WWE probably is setting up for the trilogy, right? You're going to have the one match between the two. You're going to have the second match between the two. Second one, we already got the first match. You're going to have the second match, and then you'll have that third match for kind of all the marbles, as they say. And I think this has been a very good rivalry. I mean, they've done a good job of building the hate between the two. I don't know necessarily that, with all these other big storylines going on, this one is one of the big ones, but I don't know if it's quite as exciting as like Roman Reigns returning, right, in this kind of new bloodline feud, or I don't know if it's quite as exciting as, say, the Judgment Day drama and all of that. But it is good, right? It has been really good. And this could be a launching point, too, for Punk and for McIntyre. It's pretty clear at some point Punk is likely to fight Seth Rollins. At least that's what everything we've read has been saying. So if Punk and Rollins kind of come out of this, because this is, Rollins has been inserted into this rivalry, then it will all be pretty worth it. And the one thing that's for sure, McIntyre and Punk have done a great job selling everything here. They've done a great job of promoting this thing. They've really utilized social media to build, which is a key aspect of modern WWE, is using things outside of, you have all of this extra time, right? Back in the day, okay, Raw's here. We can't really build much more than that, than what people see on TV. With social media, with YouTube, with all of this stuff, you could build rivalries every day of the week just by posting something. Drew McIntyre and CM Punk have really utilized that in a good way. And their matches are extremely brutal, right? So they got all of those things, and we'll see how much better this can get. I do think going forward, I would like to see one of these matches be, no holds barred, or, falls count anywhere, or something like that, because this is a gruesome rivalry, and I think WWE has to up the ante on the match types to really sell this thing over the top. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next. All right, everyone. So an article from Wrestling Inc. is titled Jey Uso addresses Roman Reigns' WWE return and pending Bloodline Civil War 2. So we're going to read this article for everybody. So Roman Reigns made his much awaited return to WWE at SummerSlam in Cleveland, setting the wheels in motion for a second Bloodline Civil War in as many years. In the months following Reigns' loss to Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 40, Solo Sikoa declared himself the new tribal chief and shaped the bloodline as he saw fit, replacing Jimmy Uso and Paul Heyman with Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and Jacob Fatu. In a recent Sports Illustrated interview, Bloodline original Jey Uso addressed the return of the original tribal chief. There is no one better than Roman Reigns. He makes it look so easy. I look up to him. He's got this art form down, Uso said of his cousin. SI reporter Justin Barrasso specifically noted that Reigns will have his own backup and it will be a star-studded group that includes Jey. Reigns and Sikoa are in the earliest innings of their power struggle, and there have been nothing on WWE programming to indicate an original bloodline assembly as of yet. One would think WWE would have to come up with quite the explanation for Jey to return to Reigns' side after the explosive events of 2023, which ultimately saw him leave the group to seek his fortune as a babyface single star. It's a little scary, Jey said, referring to splitting off from the group to walk on his own path last year. You got to sink or swim on your own. I'm still getting used to that. So then Jey talked about Solo, and this is what he said. Solo needs his ass whooped. There's no doubt about that. People are going to love Jimmy. He's the funniest guy I know, so much funnier than me. You've seen glimpses of what he can do on his own. Wait until you see his greatness. He's up next. So I'm really excited about what's going to happen with Jey Uso and Roman Reigns and this whole bloodline situation. We've been covering it for a while, and just when you thought it was dying down, just when you think, oh, it might be over, here we are. Now it's round 2 all over again, and it may be even bigger than the initial one. We're still waiting for The Rock to come back and to see how he plays in this, but for certain, Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa are going head to head. Roman Reigns is going to build up his bloodline. Solo already has his group in place, so we'll see who WWE decides to let win this thing. But man, I cannot wait to see how this goes. All right, everyone. So there is a big rumor going around about a big mixed tag match coming to Bash in Berlin, which is the next WWE pay-per-view. So we're reading an article here from Wrestling Inc. Ever since they were expelled from the Judgment Day following a disastrous WWE SummerSlam, Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley have been wreaking havoc across the United States on WWE Raw. Now, according to one source, the Terror Twins are expected to bring their famous brutality to WWE Bash of Berlin in a mixed tag team match against women's champion Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio. The information comes from Corey Hayes of Pro Wrestling Nexus, who posted the news on X, formerly known as Twitter, Saturday night. Hayes uploaded a screenshot of his notes app with Bash in Berlin as the header. Below the header, Hayes highlighted the match: Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio versus Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest. Fans filled the post comments with their excitement, with one X user claiming that Liv Morgan is on the best run of her career. It should be emphasized that the match remains unconfirmed by WWE and that current plans could always change even if Hayes' information proves correct. That said, the match would make sense given Monday night's developments on Raw, and there's ample time to build a feud before the international event airs on August 31st. Thus far, only 2 matches have been officially announced. All right, so this would be awesome, right? Because as much as we want to see title matches, and I guess you could technically still make this some sort of a title match, it's important that you want to see these feuds kind of built out in that if one, because the bottom line is if Rhea Ripley continues to lose or if Liv Morgan continued to lose, it would just get old, right? It would get old and it would be a good feud, but it would be a short feud. You could get 3 matches out of it, right? You can get one where they go head to head. You can get one where, because we just saw that one where Liv Morgan won. Then you can get the one where Rhea Ripley wins. And then you get that third one, which is that final match. But that's it. If you can add in a mixed tag match, right? If you can add that in, that now gives us 4 matches of this feud. And it also builds the Judgment Day drama, right? This really is like the biggest way to do it because you now include, instead of having to make 2 matches that all have the same Judgment Day overtones, now you just put it all in one match. And I think that would be pretty cool, right? I think that would allow for another match to be added to the card because you're not I don't want to say wasting, but you're not using 2 slots for the Bloodline feud, you could just put it, or the Judgment Day feud, you could just put it all into one, right? You could just put it all into one. So I think this would be a pretty cool match. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and we will see you next time. All right, everyone. So the new big talk in WWE is Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio as a pair. This is going to be something going forward that's going to be a big part of WWE programming. And PW Insider, we're reading this via Ringside News, gave us a little bit of insight into how WWE behind the scenes views this. So, according to a report from PW Insider, WWE officials were very pleased with the chemistry between Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio, who were paired together in recent segments. The duo received high marks for their interactions, and officials were impressed with how well their partnership has worked on screen. So this bodes well, obviously, for Liv and Dom, because this is something, if WWE decided they didn't really like it, they would cut it. They would find a way to get it out and, continue to move forward with whatever storyline they're going with. But I definitely think Liv and Dom are doing a fantastic job of telling this story, because at every step of the way, it's one of those things that you could see coming. This is the hard part of storytelling, right? On one hand, you don't want to shock people to the point where what just happened doesn't make sense. So if you tell a story in which everything is going in one direction and then you get this complete kind of change, but nobody could see it coming by any way and it doesn't even make sense, well, then you sit there and you go, oh, well, certainly I'm surprised at what happened, but I'm surprised in kind of a bad way. And I'm not against big changes or big shocks or things that come out of complete nowhere, but it needs to at least make some sense. And the beauty of this storyline that's being told is that you saw this coming for a while. You could see it. We did a bunch of videos on little aspects of it that were, hinted at, and how we were basically being pushed towards this, right? It was right in your face. You couldn't miss it. But then at the same time, you were still kind of had in the back of your head, well, it hasn't happened yet. Is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? And then it finally went and happened. And it was as shocking as ever, even though we all saw it coming. You still were sitting there in shock. You couldn't believe what you just saw. It actually happened. And so I think that's the sign of good storytelling. You need a mix of the foreshadowing with a mix of the shock, right? You can't have just foreshadowing and then nothing actually happens. And by the time it gets to the point, it's so predictable, nobody cares about it. And you also don't want to have something so shocking that it doesn't make any sense within the story and it's hard to explain in a realistic fashion why this happened. So, fantastic job on the storytelling by WWE. Great job by Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio playing the part. Now we'll see how well this can continue. So thank you all for watching. Let us know what you think in the comment section below, and we'll see you next time.